Good evening, everybody. This is D.
And this is Lynn.
We are Project Airwaves. Welcome back, everybody.
Again, how's everybody doing today?
Well, I think we know everybody's.
Yeah, we know how everybody's doing. We are going to be covering some pretty hard-hitting topics today, so sit back, relax, get comfortable. Going to throw a little knowledge you guys' ways, do's and don'ts, and what we are doing with our day-to-day lifestyle.
Yeah, so whip out the hand sanitizer and the Kleenex. It's gonna be a good one today.
It's definitely going to be a good one. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face.
Don't touch your face.
Kissing no babies.
Even though you've been touching your face your entire life.
Yeah, as you touch your face.
As I touch my face.
These topics are going to be pretty hard-hitting. You know, we'll try to keep things light and fun. We try to make this podcast optimistic to lift spirits up because, I hate to say it, here in Vegas, everybody's on lockdown.
Yep, COVID-19.
That is, it's a serious topic. You know, people are feeling like it's an underlining topic. It's not that serious, but now's the time. Even if you don't feel like it is a threat to you, so much as the virus, it's more or less just people panicking.
Right.
People kind of preparing themselves for the worst scenario, but also trying to bring families close together, trying to make sure that at the end of the day, you take care of yourself and your family, but you also take care of the loved ones and the people that are in your life as well.
Right, and regardless of your viewpoint, it's one thing if somebody doesn't take it as serious as you. That's okay. The whole point is to educate them. We don't want to fearmonger. We're not here to make you scared or to make you panic. We want to spit some truth. We're going to give it to you from our perspective, what's been going on in our side of the world, and then we're going to leave it up to you guys to make it through, just like we know we all will. We'll persevere, and we'll make it through this, but we're going to go ahead and jump off. I'm going to let Lynn take it away. Go ahead and start us up a little bit. What we got today?
What I'm going to go over is how my work weekend went. As you guys may or may not know, I do work hotel security off the Strip, and effectively immediately from, I believe it was Monday night going into Tuesday, we went into shutdown. Blackout. Everything, all the casinos, everything like that went shut down off the Strip. A lot of friends, families, coworkers, everybody got laid off or terminated. I know for my property, they laid off like 95 to 98%.
Insanity, yeah.
I am the lucky 2 to 3% that got to stay behind. I'm godfully saying still employed right now, but it sucks because it's lonely. There is nobody.
Weird.
I patrolled the casino Monday night for Tuesday with my fellow coworkers, not hearing any people talk. All the slot machines are dark. They've still got backup lights on and they're still running some of the machines, but all the money's drained out. They've got no pits playing, no games, no guests. The guests got, evicted and pretty much taken out of their room Tuesday night, which I wasn't there for, but I'm sure that was hard having to clear the towers because from my understanding, I know a lot of people couldn't make it back home, so they had to hunker down.
Stuck.
They're hunkering down in the rooms because they're afraid. They don't know where to go. And, I was lucky enough to not have to really deal with that, so I hope the officers that did have to work that day were safe and taken care of, but I know I go back to work tomorrow, and I don't know how it's going to be. The Strip's dark. There's only one entrance to get inside of my casino, and I know we're going to have some really strange times. There's no pairing up with anybody. It's just...
You mentioned something about like homeless trying to break in?
So yeah, we have a lot of, when we clarify homeless, we clarify them as vagrants. Vagrants, they tend to be, it's a 50-50. You get the vagrants that are relatively, timid and quiet. They just want to find somewhere that they can hunker down and sleep and relax, get out from the elements. Exactly. But these vagrants that are coming in now, they are mean, they are hostile, they're in a panic because they're getting with the Strip being dark, and the only thing that's open and light right now are backup reserves and hotels, they're trying to find ways to get in. They're hunkering down in the weirdest spots. I'm talking like I had to go check the tram, and there was a dude that was tuckered down underneath the stairs in before you go to the outside of the valley. The tram.
What the
There's
hell?
the tram that goes back and forth from the properties, and these dudes were like all prepped up and ready to go, and they don't want to go.
Right.
Like, they'll fight with you tooth and nail to get out, and it's bad. Like, they're leaving scraps behind. They're saying they're going to cut you, they're going to stab you, do whatever they need to do because they don't want to leave.
They're freaking out.
And their mindset really more or less is that they think because now that law enforcement is stretched so thin around the entire town, they'll be able to get away with stuff. So a lot of the people that I do want to give information to, we'll start off with the serious stuff and then kind of lighten the load and be more energetic and optimistic and positive down the road. But the serious topics are, if you are going to go on the Strip, I highly recommend you don't. At your own risk.
Yeah,
I recommend you don't. Be cautious of where you're going because it is lights out and it's turning into, it's a pandemic. It
is.
More or less, the virus isn't affecting us, especially in our town with what I think it was like between 11 to 15 cases, which were like
very small.
Actual deaths and stuff like that. It's the pandemic of people just tearing everything apart.
They don't know how to handle it.
They don't know how to handle it.
Me and Lynn were talking about this really quick on a side note. Me and Lynn were talking about this before the show started, how it feels like our generation and this current generation, we're so used to moving all the time. We're so used to everything being like right now, within the next 30 minutes, within the next 5 minutes, within the next second, that when everything stops, people don't know how to deal with it.
Exactly.
And so we've noticed, especially with all of this isolation and or self-quarantine, that people are freaking out, and they don't know how to cope with a lot of this. So that's what we're going to cover, is some coping mechanisms and some things you can get into and do, not even just in times of global crisis. You can do this any day of the week, anytime you just have some downtime. And that's the whole goal, is to figure out how to make it through, because that's all we got to do. We just got to wait this out. And one day we'll wake up and it'll be like it never existed, just like one of the other, like we used to talk about SARS, or when people were sending anthrax in the mail and
Ebola.
stuff.
Ebola was a big thing because all the meat was tainted.
Right, 9/11. Everybody was afraid to ride a plane because of terrorists. We made it through, so that's the whole point. We're going to tell you how to make it through. We're going to tell you how we're making it through, and then at the end of the day, we're going to pick up just like it never happened, and then we're going to move on with our lives.
Exactly. You have to adapt your lifestyle to how this quarantine is taking place. It's not a set in stone. I don't know if a lot of people know what martial law is. It's not to where you're completely locked in your house with only 1 to 2 hours of being able to travel and being limited to just going from the doctor's or the grocery store and coming home. We still have access. We can still, there's cars driving around like nothing's happening. Like people are still driving from point A to point B. They're still meeting up and doing things that they need to do. It's more or less one thing that I will get into is the Sisolak law, what our governor decided to kind of hit base on, is limiting exposure to people that are 10 and more. Like, you don't need large groups. D hit on a thing about how celebrities are doing live concerts. How they're doing the concerts. Well, I'll let you explain it.
Well, I just saw some stuff as I was browsing the Twitterverse and the Facebooks and all that fun stuff. I noticed that a lot of the celebrities, being as they can't, well, I should say like the music artists and whatnot, being as they can't make it to the concerts, or their fans can't make it to them, they're doing the next best thing, and they're making the effort to still help people and still make their lives a little easier knowing the situation. So they're having quote unquote live concerts for free that you can watch on social media or stream, and I think that was really cool.
It's a good thing. They're actually, celebrities are the biggest impacts on most of the world, because they're one person, they're human, they're a minimal individual that happen to make something big with their life, and now they're using that success and fame to try and impact others, which giving away a free live concert, that's a huge hit. And one of the things I saw too was Dana White. He did a little interview right before the Sisolak law. They're still doing UFC fights, but people can't attend. So they're moving all the fights to their Apex gym, which is, located here in Vegas. I think it's off the 215. It's that really massive one you can see when you're driving on the 215.
Oh, yeah.
They're letting the fighters come.
Nice.
Medical staff is checking them out, make sure that they don't carry anything, and then they're fighting, but there's no audience. You can pay to watch the fights. But there's no guests. There's no people coming other than the fighters themselves. And it's, people are upset because they can't go watch the fights, but realistically, it's like those tickets were already in the thousands. You're only getting celebrities that are able to watch those fights up close and away. So the fact is that they're still keeping the contact going. Dana White did a really smart move. He wants the public to still have something to look forward to, because a lot of sports stopped. Football, basketball, NBA, everything. They all stopped and froze, and he's making the most of it by keeping his fighters and his staff employed by, hey, there are still pay-per-view events. You can still pay pay-per-view to see it. The fighters aren't going to be walking out in this big thing, but they're still going to try and entertain and do something.
And that's how you keep spirits up, because, once this all passes, we have to go back to normal. We have to pick up where we left off. So we certainly don't want to let things get too far away from us. Like, one of the things I definitely want to touch on, which is like the main topic of this episode, which is don't panic. I really want to touch on that because I've seen it more times than not, especially over the past week, is people keep panicking more and more and more. And yes, we get it. It's a pandemic, but this isn't one of those viruses where as soon as it gets into your body, you die. This isn't like the T virus from Resident Evil where, it touches your skin and you're a zombie.
Which I saw I saw someone post a video on TikTok where this guy was walking out of a nail salon and he started like coughing. And there was another guy that was kind of watching him walk out. He started coughing, and all of a sudden he just started chasing after him like a zombie. He started walking up to him, like chasing after the guy. The guy just took off down the street.
And that's what they're treating like. Like, you're gonna turn into a straight zombie. And it's like, guys, from what we understand, it affects the immune compromised, the elderly, and of course children whose immune system isn't strong enough to combat the virus, which pretty much puts you in that demographic of immune compromise. So with those of us who are not elderly, with those of us who are above the age of, I want to say 9 or 10, I think, as far as the youth go, we have a good immune system. We can get through this. Even if you get infected, you're not going to die. There's no guarantee you're going to die. And I think that's what's freaking out a lot of people. They're afraid of death, they're afraid of losing loved ones, and they're afraid that the world is going to end.
It's the unknown. People are making this concept where they're thinking, they're afraid, like all humans should be,
Yes.
and a lot of people are. I'm a firm believer. It's like if I know what's coming my way, I can handle it.
Right.
And you put me in any kind of scenario, be it physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, I will handle it. The biggest thing that sits in the back of my head and which affects the most people is the unknown of I don't know what is going to happen.
Right. What if?
What if? It's
Right.
the what if factor that people are like, all right, and it's turning it into this fucking nightmare of just trying to go to the grocery stores and trying to stock up on supplies. Like, these people are turning these grocery stores chaotic. They're making it, they're stripping everything. I'm talking like I went to Smith's like a week or two ago, and I tried to get the essentials. I was with family, and I was trying to get the essentials, and we were kind of deciding, like, are we under appreciating this, or are we over exaggerating it? Like, what is our concept of it? Let's just get what we need and go off it while people are still fighting tooth and nail to scavenge all the fucking water.
Which is insane. Somebody got stabbed in like a Sam's Club or something with a wine bottle
over a bowl of toilet paper over a roll of toilet paper. Like, it's the toilet paper thing. I don't know what the fuck that is.
I don't get it. The water.
I don't understand that. The water, I do get it, because people are going apocalyptic style.
They're
thinking that without water, they're prepping. But it's like, realistically, you can boil water still.
Right, you can boil water, guys. The tap is still running.
Yeah,
we're not going to run out of water.
The pH level sucks when it comes to it, but if you boil the water and put it back in your fridge, you get drinkable water.
And even if you drink it straight from the tap, you're fine.
Yeah, there's the Brita filters. You can buy a Brita filter.
Perfect. You can put it on your sink, on your tap.
Yeah.
What we're trying to get at is there's no lack of resources. This is a pandemic, but it's not a lack of resources. This is one of those things where we just have to handle it properly and make sure it's contained. And that's, for me, this has been a really big topic, because I see so many people around me just freaking the hell out. And you should be, like Lynn said, you should have some fear, which I call caution. You should always be cautious, and you should always be prepared. Like they say, wash your hands. Don't touch your face. I'm not really... wash your hands. Stay clean. If you take a shower every damn day, that means you're washing your hands and you're staying clean. So off top, you're automatically helping yourself. But this over preparing, it's almost like people who are freaking out and buying up all the resources are making it harder for those of us who aren't freaking out. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna prep maybe an extra week out than I normally would. So instead of 1 week, it's 2 weeks.
Exactly.
But I'm not gonna buy up all the hand sanitizer
a month's worth, and that's
to sell it back to people.
And that's what there was some grimy things.
Shit.
There was a thing that I saw. I don't know if it was Philip DeFranco. It was somebody put it on social media, where there was a guy that bought a bunch of hand sanitizers. Like, he stocked up and then tried to resell it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And what's
he was going he was going nuts. I think he was selling them for like upwards of like $80 or $100.
Yeah, so he was trying to sell it, and Amazon shut it down. They're like, fuck no, we're not gonna take your shit. And then it was eBay too.
Yeah.
Like, he was trying to flip it and resell it on Amazon and
That's
eBay.
a federal offense.
And they shut it down and made him give everything back.
And he might be going to prison.
Yeah, exactly. They said, you can stop this fine, and you can stop going to jail if you give these things out. And of course he didn't want to, but he still ended up having to give up it because people still need it. The hand sanitizer thing, I understand, and I know with the casinos they're putting it on every fucking doorstop, but realistically, washing your hands is the best bet.
Yes.
Because the hand sanitizer, it's 99.9%, which is stopping a 1% chance.
It's a temporary thing.
It's a temporary
not
thing.
meant to be in place of soap and water.
No, exactly. You wash your hands, soap and water, and then you hand sanitize. Don't just sanitize your hands thinking, all right, I'm good, and then go start smearing it all over your face. It's be smart, play it safe, do your research on what it is. There are links that you can find through things. Don't just listen to what social media has to say.
Stay educated.
Like, we're not professionals, obviously. We're going based off of the knowledge that we know, and with me working hotel security and being close with Metro law enforcement and AMR and the medical teams and stuff, I do get a good amount of information. Plus, D being very well knowledged with everything that he comes across, because he does have to work.
I work in logistics.
So
I've always called it call centers, but I work in logistics, and so what we do is we move packages. And so, of course, with the epidemic hitting, or I should say movement stopping as far as like flights and stuff like that, logistics is affected. Of course, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, we need to ramp up to compensate for the lack of people, but how do you ramp up when you don't have the people?
You don't have the sales.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's a balancing act, but at the end of the day, we'll still make it work. I thankfully have not lost a minute of my, my normal hourly work week. So grateful for that. My girl, she works for the city, and they didn't let her go, but they put her on a work from home status where she's pretty much like on call. So ultimately she is quarantined for the most part. Thankfully she's still getting paid, so we're good on that front. And these are the things I want people to focus on the good things, focus on what bad isn't happening. Yes, some people got laid off. Yes, some things are looking a little bleak, but the government is working on passing some bills, trying to get some stimulus checks out there.
The stimulus checks, $1,000.
Helping us with our rent.
Exactly.
You know, things like that. So trust me, the effort is being made. This isn't, like I said, this isn't one of those things where you catch the virus and you die immediately. It's not one of those situations. So everybody breathe, take a minute, assess the situation, be aware of your surroundings, but don't panic, because it's one of those things where I fear our panic is worse than the epidemic.
It is. It's taking a really hard hit on our economy because people are so afraid of what's happening when it's a serious topic, but it's not serious enough to be flipping everybody out into this concept of like, all right, the world's going to end tomorrow if I don't get everything now.
Right. Buy a face mask.
Yeah,
buy
exactly.
Gloves,
which is one of the things I wanted to talk about too. You know, I've been seeing people walking around with these face masks left and right, and you're putting more fear into people's lives than anything.
Right.
And they're buying the wrong face masks. One thing
I noticed that.
The one thing that I learned with my job is there's two different kinds of face masks. I don't know the exact names of them. They're providing us with it because we did have to come in contact with people until the casinos got touched down. People were wearing the face masks that you would get from a basic medical facility if you were to get released, and it's just a basic mask that covers your face, flat, surfaced, thinking that it's going to protect them from the virus and stop them from spreading it.
Right.
Wrong. That's one thing I'm 100% sure on. That mask is just meant to prevent you from spreading it.
Right.
So you aren't coughing on anybody, you're not seeing anybody. It's meant to keep everything in, but it's not going to prevent you. So people are walking around with that thinking. Then you have the masks with the little small square box in the front of it. Those are carbon filter masks. Those carbon filter masks, they filter out oxygen, so you can take in air and pushing it out. Exactly. So in exchange, you're not passing on the germs, but you're also not receiving it at the same time because your oxygen is no different than a water filter.
Right, and that's due to a lack of education.
Exactly. People are going into a panic, grabbing whatever they are, and you're taking this and what Dee was stating, you're fear mongering people into thinking that everybody needs to wear this mask.
Right, because we're all going to die.
Not only are they wearing the wrong mask, but they're implementing the wrong techniques on what they need to do in order to protect one another.
So they're really not even helping anybody in the long run.
No.
And that's kind of the issue that I don't like when it comes to us having, especially global crisis. Everybody handles it differently. As far as I'm concerned, the government should have had things in place beforehand. And I know there's some people are going to say, well, how could they have known this was coming?
A precautionary. No, I get it.
Right. Have something already in place, because we know no matter what, guys, as long as we've been here on this earth, we know something is always going to be out there to kill us. There's always going to be a virus. There's always going to be an epidemic, a contagion. There's always going to be some type of plague. There's always going to be something out there that can kill us. So as long as that is a possibility, we should always have something in place to be prepared, even if it's just the basics. So we should have had things like the proper amount of face masks, not only the proper amount, but the proper masks. Yeah. We should have educational information out there, as opposed to people seeing shit on the news that's just causing you to be afraid and a panic, because that's all you see on the news. The stores, they're sold out. The shelves are bare. You know, people are getting in fights. It almost sounds like we're going into a straight up upheaval, but then when you go outside, you don't see any of that.
You don't see anything. I noticed it like coming and going, you know, just from here. You know, I went to physical therapy today, did my normal work in because it's still considered a medical facility.
Right.
One thing that is a big topic right now is with that CISILAC law that 30 days, you know, everything's shut down. It's non-essential businesses. Meaning if you're not working in a medical facility, if you're not working in a bank, if you're not working in a hardware store, police station, fire, it's all emergency responses. A big thing that people are doing is like, I'm thinking, or not so much me, but most people, they think the minute they step out the door, it's going to be Armageddon, it's Ragnarok, everything's like raining fire and brimstone. You look outside, you're like, everything looks the same.
Chill.
Everything's chill. It's a little bit calmer. The weather is a little gloomy, and it has been raining more or less. People are getting common cold, and they're freaking out because they're thinking that, all right, if I go outside, it's going to turn into something more.
Right.
Preparing for what needs to happen when you step outside is a big self-improvement for yourself in order to get things going, because if you just lock yourself in and lock yourself down with no form of activities or movement, you start to get that mental depression. Like you start to get this thing where people are so accustomed to, all right, if I'm locking myself down for 30 days and I'm not going to the grocery store, or if I'm not driving to the bank, I'm just going to stay inside. You're going to become mentally depressed.
You start to get atrophy.
You start to get atrophy. You start to get this feeling of, all right, you know, it's just me, myself, and I. When it's not, you know, we need to band together to try and make this a big thing. There's people that are reporting, there's people that are calling the police on properties that are still open.
Right.
Because they're thinking, oh, you know, the KFC down the street shouldn't be open, so I want to contact the police and file, report them and file charges. And, you know, Metro or Emergency Response 311 are like, hey, don't call us for that shit.
Right. They're calling Metro over running out of toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not an emergency.
That's not an emergency. They're just going to throw that right back in your face. Like, that is not an emergency.
It's not. And that's what's crazy. You know, we wanted to touch on isolation. A lot of people aren't used to having to be isolated. You know, yes, we're kind of in a culture that is more based based around the internet. So social media has kind of caused a little bit of rift as far as person-to-person contact. But for the most part, we're social creatures. We are used to being able to, if I choose not to talk to you, that's my choice. If I don't have any other choice but to not talk to you, I can't touch you, I can't see you, and all I can do is stay in my little four walls. That starts to mess with you after a while when you're used to being a social creature.
Exactly.
And so, like, it's funny, I saw this meme, my girl showed me this meme where it was like, well, if my best friend's got the coronavirus, then so do I. And she let me watch it, and I was like, damn it. I mean, yeah, it's kind of right.
Yeah,
like, if Lynn catches it, I'm like, well, fuck it. I guess I got it too.
You're gonna come across.
This is what we do, guys. Like, we're humans.
We're humans.
We're built to be around each other. So yes, for the next 30 days or however long it's being advised, try to, for the next few weeks, days, however long it takes, try to self-quarantine, but do it in a reasonable manner. Mm-hmm. It's okay to make contact with one or two people.
Right.
It's okay to hang out with your family and your friends. Yes, we want to be safe, so obviously make sure you wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Make sure everybody's clean. The environment is sterile. We don't want any infants around or any elderly, potentially. But it's okay to still communicate and converse with people. They're not saying you absolutely cannot be around other people.
That's one thing that people really need to understand, is that quarantining yourself is obviously it's a good thing. It's an understandable thing to protect yourself from others, vice versa, protecting them from you. But human interaction is a necessity in order for humans to be able to thrive, to be able to actually function on that day-to-day basis. If you're not talking to anybody, if you're at home all day, not talking to anybody, we don't get to go to work anymore, or most people. Kids aren't in school anymore.
Right.
So you're on lockdown with your family, and it's just them for 30 days.
Right.
So
gotta learn to get along.
Yeah, you gotta learn to get along. You gotta learn to not step on each other's toes, not get so angry over small little topics. Don't flex because somebody drank all the fucking rest of the milk or the rest of the juice. Like, keeping in contact with your friends, FaceTiming friends and family, making sure that they're okay, seeing their attributes and seeing what they can bring to the table as far as positivity helps. Don't be that person that wants to be pessimistic and wants to be.
Don't be a me monster.
Don't be a me monster. Don't make it about you, because this pandemic isn't about just you.
Right.
It's
affecting all of us.
Everybody.
Even those of us who don't have it, it's still affecting us.
Yeah, just because you're not contagious or you are contagious, depending on what the situation is, you have to realize that your energy and your optimism is what is going to make people get through this.
Yes.
If you have more optimistic people and positive people that are willing to make things better, we're going to be fine. We're going to be good. But if everybody's pessimistic and negative, and
if everybody's freaking out, it's a shit show.
It turns into a shit show.
And so me and Lynn were talking about some stuff you could do while in isolation. Look, okay, we can call it self-quarantine. It's isolation at the end of the day. You're isolating yourself. It takes a toll on you mentally, psychologically, and physically. So there's certain things, like me and Lynn, not together, but we have kind of formulated our own little personal workouts at home. So, I'll have probably for an hour to 45 minutes, I'll do some squats, some push-ups, some toe raises, some anything that, grab my dumbbells, just anything that gets me active, because I can't go to the gym. I can't necessarily go outside and go walking at the park. Even if it wasn't the COVID virus, it's still cold and gloomy outside.
It's cold and gloomy outside. You're still like in the possibility of catching a common cold just because the weather it's rough right now. It literally feels...
We're in transition.
It's a transition. We're transitioning from seasons, but it feels like the apocalypse because the weather's matching.
Right, the weather's gloomy. No one's outside.
Exactly. So, but D hit a hard point on it, and that's one thing I do. I'm really big when it comes to fitness. I'm very active, especially with my job.
Yeah.
So I do. Now I've got 25-pound dumbbells, 15s, 10s, 5s, TRX bands.
Right.
And YouTube is the biggest platform. YouTube and Google is the hugest platform when it comes to fitness.
Oh yeah.
You can look at any of these YouTubers and fitness experts, and they'll tell you, like, here's a home workout to train your legs. Here's a home workout to train your back, your biceps, your shoulders, your chest, your quads, your glutes. Your body can consistently still stay active without you having to step foot in a gym. And it sucks. It was a big reality check to me, because I do go to the gym very frequently. That is my me time, especially with the podcast. That's my me time as well. Everything else is for the family and for work.
Right.
It was a reality check going to the gym on the last day, and I was with a buddy of mine. And when I walk in there, everybody stopped working out and stared at the TV and saw when the Sislak law took effect that people were like,
and everybody just like, deuces.
Fuck. Yeah, everybody just took a deep breath, like, fuck. Like, this was the last day everybody could work out in the gym, and it was a smart move. It was understandable, because that is a spot where people can get sick.
It is
your immunity's compromised from being in the gym, but home workouts, they're not bad. If you do basic things, you're going to maintain what muscle you're keeping.
And you keep it simple. Naturally, and working out naturally boosts your immune system, and it boosts your attitude, because it releases endorphins in your body, which is like pretty much a happy drug that your brain is releasing. It's almost like it's rewarding you for doing something good to it.
Exactly.
So these are things to keep in mind. Find a hobby, origami, get into cooking. Don't need all your supplies, but get into cooking, you know, maybe look into crocheting. Hell, I don't know, find something to do. It's not forever. This lockdown, from what we're hearing, and not even the lockdown, but just, you know, as far as us being on the lookout, being aware of the virus, it's projected out to like June, July, August.
Right. So,
and that's right around the corner, honestly.
Exactly. Right now, they've got us on that 30-day lockdown, which if I did my math right, I'm pretty sure it's April 17th would be, because March 17th is when they did the Sisolak law. Quote me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it's called the Sisolak law. But the governor, when he locked us down for that, San Francisco had done it a week before.
Yeah.
So right when I saw that San Francisco did it for 3 weeks, I was like, all right, we're next. And then 2 days later.
And that's how it was. If you see it happen on the East Coast, it's coming to the West Coast.
Yeah, and when they hit us, it's like, okay, you know, April 17th, people are going to have to just find a way in order to make themselves more productive, more active. So changing everything to adapt for the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Yes.
Be proactive, be prepared, but don't think like we're not out of resources. You can still go to the store. Yeah, it sucks. You're getting the bare minimum, and you might have to go to more than just one store at a time. Like, you can't just run up at Smith's.
But the shit's out there.
But yeah, exactly. You have to just look. The stores are constantly restocking. We're getting supplies from everywhere. People are still working. If anything, you need to thank the people that are still employed.
For sure.
Because they are busting their ass.
Security, cops, all those motherfuckers.
I was even seeing at the grocery stores, like Smith's, all the staffing there, they're stressed out because people are like tearing into them, like, this is your fault, there's no toilet paper. And the staff there's like,
they can't do anything
we can't do anything about that. You should be happy that we're here to restock it. Because if they all quit,
we're boned.
We're fucked. What am I going to do? Go and try and make an order and then expect them to drop it off and me unload it? Like,
and that's why I tell people, it's like, you know, we still have electricity. The internet is still on. The gas is still flowing for our cars. When shit like that turns off, then okay, we can freak the fuck out a little bit. Power's still on. It doesn't. My internet works just fine. Me and Lynn are chilling right next to each other, recording this podcast. It's not the end of the world, so stop treating it like that. Just chill out for a minute, watch the news, get the information, take out the emotion, because all that fear and anxiety and all of that isn't helping. Be nice to your fellow man. Be considerate. Be courteous. Yes, we're going through an epidemic, but like I said, that doesn't mean the world is going to end. You're still going to live. Even after this passage, you're still going to be here. So you don't want to be known as that asshole from the coronavirus. You know, you want to be that person that tried to at least help, do something, you know, just make the effort. That's all I guess I can say. Make the effort. But really, some things we want to go ahead and wrap up on. Stay safe. Stay indoors. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. This will pass. For anybody, you know what? Fuck it. Find your faith. For me, I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I'm not afraid to admit that. If you don't, that's fine. Whoever, whatever, however you believe in it, make sure it's good. Spread it to others. Be, as my mother would say, be blessed to be a blessing. You know, spread that around, because that's what's going to get us through this. Our faith, our perseverance, our knowledge, our intellect, and our ability to execute, our ability to survive. We are humans. This will pass. Like everything else, we've been through the bubonic plague, the black plague, SARS, anthrax. We've been through it all, guys. Okay, yes, people have died, but at the end of the day, we were still here. As what's his name, Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park would say, life finds a way.
Yeah,
it just fucking finds a way. That's just how it works.
Right.
So just be okay with it. It's all right. We'll make it through. Also, here's a perfect suggestion. Listen to some podcasts.
Yeah,
we have a great library for you to listen to in case you get bored and have nothing to do.
A lot of our podcasts are optimistic. They're eye-opening. They will give you that uplift that you need in order to kind of get a sense of feel of, oh, you know, I can relate. I can actually see what these guys are going through. You can revert back to our old episodes. You know, we're on episode 12 now.
Hey.
Episodes before that, it's just it's monthly to weekly topics of just how things were prior to this. You know, the positivity of how things were going, how things have continued to go.
Right.
You know, we are in a rut right now, but going into the next steps, you know, episode 15, 20, 30.
Right. Season 2.
Yeah, season 2. There won't be this pandemic. We will be in a more uplifting and energizing environment. So big things like to close off and everything like Dee was stating, you know, stay healthy, stay active, be optimistic. Be an optimistic individual. Don't be a pessimist. Don't be the person that drags down the room and makes things all about themselves, because like at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about everybody.
Yeah.
Check on your elders. Check on your family. Make sure that you're the person making everybody happy and safe. Step up and get shit done to make sure that everybody else can thrive and do better, because there are a lot of people that like can't take care of themselves right
Yes.
now. And you've got the select few, the 5%ers that I say to a lot of my friends and family, me and a couple other people that I've selected in my head, the 5%ers that feel like we can handle pretty much anything.
Right.
You throw a fucking car at me, I get hit by this car, I will get up and I'll
figure it out.
I'll figure it out. I've always done that. My body's falling apart like Mr. Potato Head here. I've got more injuries than I care to fucking go into, and yet I still make sure that I push as hard as I can because I know that there are other people that might not mentally or physically be able to handle what I handle.
Right, and they just can't. You know, we've seen it with everybody around us, our loved ones, people we don't know, perfect strangers, and that was one of the biggest reasons we agreed to meet up and record this episode. You know, we want to show, while we're being cautious, we're not afraid of this. We're going to beat this, and we're going to be okay. So, you know, this is us giving back to you guys. So, you know, just like be positive, and like the movie, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, if you remember that little book, what does it say on the front of the book? If you don't know what it says on the front of the book, Google it, go watch the movie. It's a great fucking movie. It's got Mos Def. It's hilarious. But on the front of the book, it says, don't panic. Now, imagine how that would be. Just let me take you guys to a fantasy world real quick. Imagine how that would be. We're on Earth. We're dealing with the coronavirus. Imagine exploring the galaxy. Okay, just stay with me. Imagine being out in space, meeting other life, meeting other intelligent life. Imagine what type of viruses and shit they would have. Now, bring it back here. Think about that book. It says, don't panic. So if it's telling you not to fucking panic and we're in space meeting other people, then while we're here on Earth, don't motherfucking panic. You're going to be okay. All right? Sorry, I'm going to calm down now. I'm going to hop off my soapbox. And then we got anything else to throw at these people?
Last little bit of information before we do wrap up. The door-to-door visits that people have been getting.
Oh, yeah.
More or less, I want people to be aware of that.
Yeah.
There are people that are coming up to the door, and I don't know if a lot of the people know the information that I've gotten. There is no way to home test for this.
There's no way to field test.
There's no field test.
Home test. You have to go to a hospital.
You have to go to a hospital and get tested for the COVID-19. So what's happening with a lot of the scumbags in the fucking world, the people with the hoarding and stealing and shooting and thriving, they're knocking on doors and they're letting people know. They're knocking on doors and going up to people's doors and telling them, hey, we're here to test you for the COVID.
Right.
It's free. It's available. We can give you a quick test. We just need entry into your house so we can do it. And a lot of the people that are sustainable to this, they don't know any better.
Right.
So they're letting these people in.
That's
and these people are
panic.
coming. Yeah, it's the panic. The people are coming in and they're fucking raiding up the house. They're tearing everything apart. They're hurting people. They're getting what they can and then they're getting out.
Yeah.
And people don't know any better. So
be mindful.
Be mindful. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of who's coming to your doors. Unless it's somebody that you know, do not let anybody come to your house, no matter what they are. And if they want to ask you or nudge or push saying, hey, I work for the government, you're going to be going to jail, and like show me proof. Call the police. Call
911. Call 311.
Any company you need to verify and show that there is someone trying to break into your house because they have no qualification to step in your door. The only people that can do that is Metro. Metro and the Marshals, U.S. Marshals or state Marshals. So,
and that's the thing. Remember, guys, we're not at that point yet. We don't. There's no need to loot. There's no need to rob. There's no need to hurt other people. It's not at that point. This is pretty much the tip of the iceberg as far as I'm concerned with this COVID-19. So take it one day at a time. Be courteous. Be loving. Be mindful. Also, just be ready to live, because once this passes, we have to pick up like normal.
The next topic we will hit, obviously this might be our topic for the next episode or two, because we do record weekly. Is the aftermath. What's going to change? Picking up the pieces. You know, our economy is taking a huge fucking hit, and
stock market,
their jobs. You know, people think that once the virus is cleared and we go back to our 30 days, some people might not be able to come back to a job. They're going to have to reassess their situations, and a lot of these jobs, if they do bring you back, they might only give you a couple hours because they don't have the money to pay back for a month's worth of work. So be prepared, take care of yourself, take care of your friends and family, but be optimistic, be mindful, you know, think with your head, but also think with your heart. Don't shut out the world because things are bad. Things will get better.
As always, I'm D.
And this is Lynn.
We are Project Airwaves.
Project Airwaves.
Keep your feet, bitch. Start over. Keep your head in the motherfucking clouds.
But keep your feet on the ground.
Okay, guys, wash your hands. Don't touch your face.
Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe.